When I look at the economic strategies. Thank you.
Next question, Elaine.
Hi, my name is Elaine Solo. I'm from South Africa. And I was very struck by Mikhail's comment about ontological individualism. So I want to turn it around and say, in one sense, do all of these new constitutions not recognize people? And in one sense, do these older, supposedly cultural forms that Gao and Francis made some reference to what sense do those recognize people and turn around or reject or refute the notion of ontological individualism? Yeah.
Well, we have to leave the room in 5 minutes, so you have slightly more than 1 minute each. Okay. Pedro, do you want to be?
Hello, I appreciate all the comments. I would like to reply as most of them as time allows me, but I would like to start by the comments of the Indian professor, who I have forgotten the name.
Professor Sharma.
Pardon? Sharma. Professor Sharma, yes. Well, first of all, Professor Sharma, I mean, I don't think it's a very scientific position to accuse me of using wrong data and not to point this data. I have exhaustively passed through this work. All my references are coded, and like to put it in a simple terms, I'm not joking with data at all. All the data here are very official, and most of them are actually brought from Indian government. Of course, I have to work with projections because we don't have, like national official data, and on all of those parameters I've tried to analyze. So I use it like recognizing microeconomic regressions to estimate that, like propensity score matching and other strategies, which I will be very happy to debate with you. And even happier to receive, if you could indicate to me which data is actually wrong, because this text has been actually like submitted to several Indian friends, fellow colleagues who work on Indian bureaucracy, fellow UN colleagues. Well, I would also suggest and actually ask that that you guys read the paper. I've submitted the paper 2 months ago. I'm surprised that it was not made available for everybody. In any case, it's available at the webpage of IPCIG where I work. It would be a great pleasure to see my downloads index increasing a little bit on the week. What else? You criticized my usage of Dumont and all, and maybe I didn't make myself clear, but I'm not standing at Dumont's position. I just said that throughout my the sociological part of my work, I dialogue with Dumont. I mean, I just mentioned Kant and Frawley here. They're Aryanists, they're racist authors. I clearly am not agreeing with all those authors. I debated with them, and I thought that I was precisely clear when I mentioned that my personal position stands between the autochthonous modernists and the subalternist authors. I even mentioned Professor Ranajit Guha. My orientator for this work was Ms. Nivedita Menon. So it's quite difficult to presume that I was aligning myself with Dumont. I entirely agree with your critiques. If you look at like how I contextualize the whole caste system, I really try to avoid Western-centric approaches. And the reason why I use scheduled tribes, scheduled castes, and other backward classes is because the Mandel Commission, all the main national frameworks, use that as a reference. It's not necessarily agreeing with that, and I'm definitely not trying to normalize anything. Responding to my fellow Chinese colleague who asked about the ST, SC, and OBC, I regret I couldn't pass to the sociological part of my work as I wanted to because of time limit. And I quickly mentioned here like that scheduled tribes, ST refers to scheduled tribes, SC refers to scheduled castes, and OBCs refer to other backward classes. Those are the official categories the government uses on the reservation policies and on like other protective measures to try to lift up these people from vulnerable situations. Yes, as for the question about gender, just quickly replies, like, on my work, I find out that in states like Andhra Pradesh that have a strong self-help, woman-based groups like the Dwakra group have much better performance in terms of like avoiding such exclusion errors. So later on maybe we can talk about that. Thanks so.
I'd like to address the issue of difference. We talked a lot about similarities between our countries, but then you rightly pointed to us that there is a lot of difference. You also said about that. There is a lot of difference, but still there is a lot of similarity. Difference and similarity come hand in hand, and we have to count on them while doing research. And from my own experience of collaborative research, and I have participated in a number of projects, including one recent project with the Chinese sociologists, when we did comparative work on Chinese and Russian cities, St. Petersburg and Shanghai. I must say that the only possible solution to the problem of recognition and misunderstanding is meeting each other, discussing things, working together in groups. Live sociological discourse on all possible problems arising in a project. That's the only answer to the problem. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments and the questions. But here I can only answer one question by Dr. Guo. And he mentioned another phenomenon, the intellectuals or maybe other people well educated, maybe more superstitious. And my explanation is like this. And what I want to say, superstition is not I'll say can be used to divide the people as the upper side and the lower part. And since the beginning of the modernization, the intellectuals felt the tension to produce dynamics for the stability of the traditional country. And then they can enforce the people to move forward. And I think the superstition or other things used rightly in that historical period. But now there are so many developments in education, just like you mentioned. And in China, we have very high rate of school education now. And my story is one case to support. We don't need to continue the division among our people in the society. So we should recognize each other, not so I just so what you mentioned is a data, is a resource to support my conclusion, but not change my conclusion. Thank you.
I would say I like the question on the porcupines and the length and different sizes. And I think that is precisely where Mikhail's idea of social justice framework and policies around that to regulate different sizes. And in many cases, size is not all that matters, or length for that matter. On poverty and alleviation, I think one thing I forgot to mention is that every 2 years or so, the South African Human Research, Social Research Council, HFRC, publishes what they call State of the Nation, a very rich collection of essays on different themes. And the one for last year was on addressing inequalities and poverty. And I would suggest that if you have access to, you can download it for free from the website. And it's a very rich document. It addresses the neoliberalism issue and gives you some interesting statistics on how far South Africa has come since 1994, or how worse things have become. And I do really appreciate the idea of exchange research. And perhaps one thing we could leave here with is how to constitute such networks of collaborative research that prioritizes comparative studies, and that will begin to furnish our states and maybe our universities with interesting findings along the lines that were suggested here by colleagues.
I really think we have learned this afternoon that inclusion and social justice are categories that are also used by neoliberal language. No? So we have to be very careful. And I really think that when moving forward from superstition into the light, no, into development, into modernity, we don't realize most of the time that this same light makes us blind to inequality and to common human beings who are next to us. So I'm looking forward for our next session at 8 o'clock. This same room? No. Where? We go back to our room. Salon Topazio, it's 17, the number of the room. I'm sorry. And thank you to all of you, and thank you for the audience.
Isso mesmo?